The sun is rising in Starbuck, Minnesota, and look at the yield on this soybean field. We're getting 121%. We're also getting some soybean straw. I'm super excited about that. I did not know that would be extra income, but today we got a lot going on. We have to get this field plowed over here, and you can see we do have a worker working on that for us. We got the soybeans to harvest. We've already sold the milk and the eggs this morning. So we're up to $14,000. We have to make a little bit more cash today to be able to make our bills, and I'm thinking this straw is probably going to be the key to that. So you can see in the distance back there, I do have the John Deere set up on the trailer, the wood trailer, so that we were going to do a little bit of woodwork after this harvest, but I think we're going to have to do this baling and make money that way. Did not know that was a feature of this map. Super excited about that. Extra bonus with this harvest. And just kind of taking a peek at our worker down there. Seems to be cruising along pretty good. That field's going to take forever with that tiny implement. But we're getting that ready to plant oats in the spring there. Will probably also be either now or either October or November. We'll be taking care of this field and flipping it into a alfalfa field next to us. But yeah, absolutely. We knew we were going to get a good yield, and looking pretty good so far. That's the little area we're going to have to figure out how to harvest. How far is it going to go before it starts harvesting again, though? We need a flexible header, apparently. But I think we will just cruise through here. We'll have to turn around. It feels like, did the header get lifted? There we go. Yeah, that's the stretch, apparently. We need to smooth that out, and I might take liberty and do that myself after the harvest, but a little bit of crop destruction there and a little bit of loss. But over here, we look like we're getting down to 97%, which is still amazing. Still well above 100%. And what else is there? I mean, there's some things that could be sold, but really got to focus on this harvest and get the baling going. And I think it's time just to get focused and get her done. Now we're seeing the benefit of the way we extended this field with the trees we got rid of, and absolutely 97% yield still on our worst area on this field. Dropping down to 96 and 87, but I think that's just a little glitch in the way precision farming's working there. Beautiful harvest so far. You know, 81% full. We're going to be pretty close to being able to just jump over to the semi when we do get full here. I love that it's looking like we're not going to get around the headland before we fill up with soybeans. So this is absolutely going to be a huge payday come June or July when we're able to sell it. And might, you know, be the thing, and we've talked about this a lot over the last, you know, handful of episodes. This is the crop that we're expecting to really change our fortune and hopefully get us to not have to worry about that monthly payment and potentially start buying some upgraded equipment that we're wanting to do. So we'll see after the harvest, though. We'll be able to use time-saving stock check to tell us what we're going to make around then. And again, that extra bonus of the straw. I know we're on hard economy, but some of these maps pay really well for soybean straw. So we'll see how that turns out. And I'll probably take a peek at that once we get done with this. Or once we jump into the semi and have a little bit of break from the harvest. And we are 100% full. Let's go ahead and open the pipe. We do have to swap out our trailer on the semi here. Oh, it looks like we do have some planks to sell too to get us in the nice cushion, but not necessarily going to sell them if we don't need to. All right, and I forget how to do this one with, do we just do that? Yeah, okay. Sometimes you can hit Q, sometimes you have to manually connect it. This one makes sense with Q. So much fog right here, though. My goodness. All right, let's get these hoses connected. And get on over to the harvester, get it unloaded so we can keep on with the harvest, but I can't see anything, and we almost drove right into the crop. My goodness. That is some intense fog. All right, we made it around there safely. Oh, a little too hot there. We'll go ahead and get that unloaded. Let's take a look at some prices. Okay, I don't see a separate thing for soybean straw, so this must just be regular straw, which is $41, but it's a huge field, so it should be a ton of bales and an opportunity to make a ton of money. So we'll keep cruising with this. And when we get back to the other side of the field where we weren't able to harvest, we will loop around and try to get that the other direction, or try a couple different directions, but that's probably where I'll rejoin you. Yeah, beautiful harvest going on. 121 yield. Plus, I think there's a little, let's like double check that. What's going on with the crop rotation bonus here is 80%, so we're losing 20% technically. And we'll be fixing that on the next few harvests with getting these fields in a better situation for crop rotation. But let's go ahead and try to sneak over, get as much of these soybeans as we can. And I think, yeah, going this direction here, I think is the way. It's just going to make it a little bit annoying to do the straw later on. But after this harvest, I'm absolutely going to smooth this out so we don't have to deal with it moving forward. And it's just a liberty I'm going to take. Yeah, not being able to get all of it. Maybe we'll get past it and come back the other direction. We'll just work on this area a little bit here. Yeah, this seems to be working good right here. That little bit, if we don't get up there, I don't think we'll stress about. But it seems like, you know, if we're patient, we can figure out the right spot. But I'm not patient, so we're going to move on with our lives. All right, see how close we can get back to the semi before this is full. Already at 59%. Like I said, this should be a pretty beautiful payday in June. Definitely going to use the John Deere to get to the semi a little bit quicker. Like another load full there. And gosh, just, you know, 28,000 liters already of soybeans. And we know that's going to be a good payday. All right, we'll go ahead and drop the 6R right here. And I don't remember how many loads we'll be able to get in here before we hit the weight limit. But this is one of those upgrades that I would love to get. The horsepower on this semi seems to struggle once we get a little bit of weight in the trailer, but, you know, it'll be fine. It's doable. And I was kind of looking at the map. It looks like almost everything that's in the grass area and not the forest ground area are our trees. So that might be part of our winter project. I don't think we'll be able to get to it today, knowing that we have this straw now. And then what are we planning for this next in this field? What are we in? Field 1? So field number 1, soybeans, and then green beans, which I don't think we'll do. This is where we're going to play around with the numbers here. We're leaving the green beans in there for our own purpose. But then if we did sorghum, well, what time of year is sorghum planted to make sure this works out? Because this is going to be a spring. We're always going to plant in the spring in this one. And sorghum is in the spring, so that would work. And then the next crop, could we put corn in after that? Corn would drop to 80% and the sorghum... Ouch. I mean, the oats looks like a good rotation here. So I think we'll do that. We might add, let's do this and add sorghum over here. And then if we put oats here, it's 105. And if we put corn, 95 on corn, I think that might be something. I might play around with it a little more, but we're definitely going to plan on doing sorghum next here. And with all the series we have going on, this is the one where we can kind of talk about things a little bit. You know, we did add some role playing back in, and I finally found what I feel like is my style of role-playing in Farming Simulator. There's not going to be a lot of drama. There's not going to be a lot of tractor breakdowns. It's just going to be the story of the playthrough we're doing. And moving a little quicker, taking a little bit of liberties with some purchases of equipment. You know, kind of checking real life Facebook Marketplace to get some financial ideas and numbers. So trying to make it realistic on that aspect. But we're going to keep at least one series like the No Shortcuts going. A more traditional Let's Play to satisfy both types of audiences. I do know there is a split between people that like roleplay and people that don't. And so we'll try to mix it up here, and it also makes it feel like I'm playing two separate games, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's really helping with preventing that burnout factor, which we've talked about a lot on this channel. So, or at least in my podcasts and live streams. And we did talk about it a little bit in the live streams. We may start doing a little bit more of those. I'm still trying to decide how that's going to fit with my schedule right now. So they will be a little sporadic, but there should be more often than they were before. And I'm really enjoying this harvest, man. So I know timing-wise, to get a lot more done today, it might make sense to get a worker going so we could start picking up the straw, but gotta do what you enjoy. Let's keep going. All right, we did hit max weight here, 39,000 liters. And we're gonna come on over and really focus on this side of the field. The smaller side, get that harvest done, and then we'll get back to the bigger passes. Do a little cab view here. Weave through the trees as we're gaining momentum, 14 miles an hour. And picking up. This will be real nice. We'll be able to get them in the silo and then jump into time-saving stock check and start getting an idea of what this field's going to produce financially for us this time around. All right, pulling up here to the silo and dumping the beans. And looking at soybeans already, we're looking at about $48,000. That's pretty solid, you know, for the type of economy we're playing. Got to remember, we're not going to make as much money as we do on easy. I mean, we're really making about a third. And we've been keeping an eye on the progress on the tillage, and it seems to be really going slow. I'm hoping they're going to get that done today. Was hoping we could get our money in a situation where, yeah, but just hoping, yeah, this would probably be a better view since we can't tab over there. Yeah, that's as far as they've gotten. They did 3 passes on the headlands, and then they're going back and forth. Just would hope to see a little more speed, but I think the implement can only go about 3 miles an hour, so it's either 3 or 4 on that disc that we're using. Or it might be a spade. It might be a spade. But it's just taking its time out there. We'll keep going. Not a ton. I mean, it's still a big field. Still a little bit to do here. So what we're going to do, we'll do all these small passes next. And then we'll get back to the bulk of the field after that. Well, we wanted to learn a little bit more about hard economy. And we thought this year was going to put us over the edge. I can say 100% I am disappointed in the yield of this field. Well, not the yield, but the amount of money we're going to make off of it. So that means we're going to have to change our strategy. We're not going to be able to just farm. We're going to have to do everything possible to make money. So these trees over here, they're going away. They're going away. We're going to be getting to that this winter. And after we pick up this straw and sell it, we're going to cut the outskirts of this field, the grass again. We'll probably have to lease some equipment so that we can generate some hay, because that'll be worth more than grass. But those, we have to make wiser decisions, and we haven't been doing that so far. So let's go ahead and take a break here. We're gonna unload because we just dumped our second full tractor or trailer full, and then now we're just getting 97% here. So we're still under, and this will put us over 100,000. Looking at time-saving stock check with what's in the silo, 96,000 from our barley. We're going to make 127, but we got to keep some of that for the chickens. And revenue's just not looking high enough to ever buy better equipment, to move faster, to maybe buy more fields, to then make more money, to then, you know, dip in the ultimate goal of paying off our $2.8 million right now. We don't want to do a 30-year playthrough. Because that's that's kind of how we're tracking right now, is that this is going to take 30 years unless we start doing a little bit more. And we're gonna have to do the jobs we don't like doing, cutting grass often, baling often, and, you know, starting to use auto loading, because we definitely made that decision. We talked about that last episode. That will help. I'm trying to figure out a fair amount to charge ourselves for that, but maybe we'll do like, I don't even know what I want to do there. Maybe the community can help with that one. The other thing I'm thinking about is coming up with a dollar amount of paying a contractor to fill in the pond so we can claim that little bit of area, but I just don't know how much revenue that would generate. It would just make the harvest a lot easier. Yeah, things we're thinking about, but we're definitely going to be switching gears because we have to. Otherwise, we're just not making money on this farm. Oh, one other thing I did want to close the loop on, we talked about going negative. I think we're going to give ourselves 3 months. I don't think you're ever going to get foreclosed on right away. So if we are negative, we get, you know, a 3-month window, and we'll make sure we don't do that, but we're not going to stress each episode about getting that dollar amount by the end, because it's just a little, you know, too redundant, you know, too much of the same thing over and over and over again. Let's see if we are hooked up in the Massey to this still. Looks like we are. Before we do that, let's take a look at our final numbers for the soybean harvest. In time-saving stock check, we do see 95,000 liters, which is going to bring in $117,000. So, yeah, we know we need about, I think it was $230 a year just for the loan payments, and anything above that would allow us to start making progress on buying better equipment, buying more fields. And we're just not getting to that point. It's just, it's not happening. Let's double check that we are in the biggest bales here. We are, 240. So yeah, this little strip here next to us, we'll be getting that cut after this, and we'll probably wait till November to be able to turn that into hay. That's how we've been playing it. I might try to reinstall that mod that's supposed to work where you cut the grass and the next month it turns into hay, and boy, the John Deere's not making a good enough time over there. I don't even think they're halfway done with that field yet. So, you know, using workers, using course play on that one, and it's just taking a little bit of time. And yeah, we do know now this is 100% regular straw and not yielding the best, but we will check the prices. If they're at peak or close to peak, we will sell today. If not, like I said, we're not going to completely stress about the debt. We'll worry about that in November. If we're negative, we'll make sure we get our balance above negative after sleeping. And we're gonna generate some money this winter, though, so I think we'll get out of it. But, you know, the new adjustment we'll have to make, we took this year of prepping the fields ourselves to see, you know, if they're going to generate money. We also have that new field releasing, so that's costing us a little bit more money and will generate more revenue, and we haven't seen that yet, so that's something to keep in mind. We'll be harvesting that in the summer, early summer, and it'll also generate some feed for the chickens, so that will help. But just we got to get serious. We got to get real. All right, the baling is all completed. We're starting to run out of daylight, so instead of picking up the bales, I am gonna run over to the 6R. We're gonna get that hooked up to the mowers and start getting this outskirts cut. And I think the front loader we're gonna have to put right here. Always forget. Attach. Q. Okay. And we back up. Then we can come out here and we can get this detached. Oh, I'm going to check for that mod real quick. Cut grass turns into hay. Let's activate it. So that mod's going to work 24 hours later. So we'll keep that in mind. So it'll probably be December or late November when it turns to hay for us, unless it rains. And PTO connected. So I guess we'll find out later on next episode. It should work. I assume it works. I think I assumed it was overnight and not 24 hours last time I tested it out. All right, let's get the back mower all hooked up here. Hoses, PTO. Get it unfolded. And lowered. The front lowered, it looks like it is. Yep. Go ahead and activate. Oh, no, no, no. Activate the front. Activate the back. And yeah, we'll get this nice cut in. And we got to get a little bit over because that's not technically our land, though I might modify the map to make it to where we can cut that. Should be able to. Just a little bit of a, decision made by the map maker there to not bring the property line all the way up to the road. Which I guess in most conditions, in most places, a little bit of the land past the road is owned by the town or the county, so it might make sense to just leave it. But yeah, let's get focused. Let's get this done.
Even when my teardrops start to dry, even when the sun begins to shine again, I'm taking all the advice there is and none of it has helped. Experience has made me realize that I won't build my life on empty words. Being so damn naive, it only hurts. I'm so tired of love songs like never turns out the way they do. I've been trying for so long, looking for someone who wants me to. I've heard every cliche there is and none of them make sense. I'm so tired of love songs. I'm sick and tired of love songs. I'm so tired of you. Looking back on how I used to be, I always thought that love was made for me. Oh well, I was just as blue-eyed as the sky could ever be. Loving you has made me realize I'm so tired of love songs like never turns out the way they do. I've been trying for so long, looking for someone who wants me to. I've heard every cliche there is and none of them make sense. I'm so tired of love songs. I'm sick and tired of love songs. I'm so tired of you. I'm so tired of you.
Boy, it's pretty dark, and I don't know how much of this is going to end up in the time lapse, but we have cut a ton of grass on this property, and just really driving around doing this and realizing how much revenue in trees, in wood, that we do have on this property that we're going to start tackling this winter. And like I said, we're going to get serious here. It's time to start making some money on the No Shortcuts $3 million challenge here. The realistic-ish playthrough. But I'm Socksway up. I will catch you on the next one.